Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a junior at Amherst, and I'm running for JC chair. I've been a senator for 2 years, and during those 2 years, when I wasn't abroad, I was actually on the Judiciary Council, so I have a little bit of experience working with the Constitution, both good and bad. So I think I'm pretty qualified. In terms of what I would like to do as JC chair, I think a lot of it just has to do with access. So a couple projects that I've started, Peter actually mentioned the Student Community Engagement Fund, which is just another way of students to get funding on campus for events that they want to do. I just think in general that access to the Senate, access to what the Senate does, and access to all sorts of resources on campus, whether or not students use them like once in their 4 years here or every week or whatever, I think it's important for them to know that those resources are available. So that's what's really important to me. That's why I think JC chair is a really important position. I think that representing the Constitution or whatever in Senate is just really important in terms of transparency and what the Senate does and what the Senate can and can't do. I think that's something that I would really want to work for if I were elected. Would just be a more thorough review of the Constitution and how it relates to student groups on campus. I think that interacting with the Judiciary Council is something that student groups all have to do at one point or another with the Senate, and it's one of the unique avenues that you can actually influence student groups and how they act and the events that they run and stuff, besides giving them money through the Budgetary Council. So I think it's actually a really important avenue of access to students and their information that maybe we don't utilize all the time, but I think it's really important to kind of keep that in mind. In terms of the Constitution itself, I would like to kind of do a thorough review of the actual wording of the Constitution. I know this is kind of a contentious issue and many people have attempted it in the past. I would like to say that I actually would work very hard on doing this because I think it's something that's really important to do, and someone's got to kind of step up and fix everything at one point or another for the future. So that's something I'd want to really do, is just kind of reestablish the use value of having this sweet organization and the Constitution. So yeah, I'm just going to keep it pretty short. So vote on Thursday for me.
All right. At the end of Peter's speech, Peter made an observation about Massburg, and it really got me thinking, because I think there are a lot of parallels between our relationship with Massburg and our relationship with our student government. 30 years ago or something, Massburg created a very unique relationship with our school that was fairly unprecedented, that was a really good opportunity for students to get empowered. And over time, people started assuming that this fairly unique relationship was something really normal, not something to value, not something to question, but just something to accept. And in many ways, I feel like that's how we treat the AAS. We assume that the AAS is a very normal institution. We forget how unique it is, that it's in the position of allocating so much money and offering so much opportunity for leadership for students. We stop asking questions about what the AAS can do. We just assume that it's an organization that's always been there, that always will be there, that'll always keep doing the same thing. And when Peter was giving his meditation about Massburg, it really made me think about that. And I think that something we should always do is question the bounds of our government. Question what we can do to make our government work better, to make it more accessible, etc., etc. And these were many promises that I made when I ran for vice president. And I feel like in all of these fronts I've made progress. For example, I really wanted to innovate and change the IT infrastructure of our Senate to make our Senate meetings more efficient. I started changing the way we use Blackboard. Before, we used it simply as a way to disseminate documents. I started using it as a way to keep discussions going. Instead of having really long chain emails, this way we could have discussions of things as a body without actually having to meet in person or fill in boxes, which has been pretty useful. I updated the school's website for the AAS. I started listing who's on which committee, and I also got minutes posted online, as well as updating the Constitution and bylaws so people can access it. For example, the people in Massburg right now use our website to figure out how to use the referendum process to get their referendum passed, which is what they're doing right now, which I think is pretty cool. And finally, I created a reliable, searchable file archive of the documents that we've had from like the past 6 to 10 years. Something really frightening that we realized this semester, and that Mike Attila really pioneered, was that we realized that we don't actually know all of the bylaws that we've passed, which is pretty much a fail as an institution. So when we realized this, we worked really hard to fix it. Mike Attila went through all of the archives, went through all of the minutes, poured over, figured out every single document that's binding on the AAS, and got it together. So I created a file archive very recently of all of these documents that we can search using Google Desktop. So very quickly we can find documents from like 6 years ago that before we wouldn't be able to find. The other thing that I really wanted to do is I really wanted to combat voter apathy, because I think as I've talked to a lot of the people running in this race, it's something that's a really big problem. It's always been a problem, and I feel like it still is a problem. We can tell because for our speech night, we have, I think, maybe 3 people per candidate here. Every single position is uncontested, and I don't think this is really a good thing. 2 things I think we can do to help improve voter apathy is increase Senate public relations so people know what the AAS does. And this is something that I really tried to do through improving the website, and this is something I've tried to work with the PR committee in the Senate to do to help overall. For example, Jared's idea of using YouTube I think is absolutely awesome. And also I think that we should really improve transparency, which I think goes hand in hand with improving public relations. I'm not going to go on and give another 5-minute speech. I've said what I needed to say. I think I've done above and beyond a good job, and I think I've satisfied all the campaign promises that I made last time. I'm happy to be running for vice president.